Get strong.
Welcome in, roster the people, week 6. We're here. We're making some progress through this season. It just feels like this just started. We're just clipping on through it. Neil Smith, Jason Draven. Jason, how you doing, buddy?
It's a Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday. It is a Wednesday. It is Wednesday of week 6.
Already a lot of news, so it's just been interesting to kind of see how things are going.
What news is that?
Well, you know, Spencer Rattler's going to be the starter for the Saints. That's news.
Yeah.
He loves Olave, allegedly, according to his press conference.
Yeah. Well,
hopefully that's the truth. No,
I'd say
Drake
all
May
Saints
also starting.
Fine. You want to do it that way? All Saints are unstartable outside of Alvin Kamara,
who's dealing with a hand injury, and
yeah.
Shaheed is
so
dealing with.
I'll save everybody a lot of time. There will be no Saints that I will recommend outside of Alvin Kamara for the foreseeable future.
Juwan Johnson.
Nope. You can do that if you want, but I refuse. I was very unequivocally clear. It's Alvin Kamara or nothing.
All Eagles wide receivers are practicing. A little better? No.
I mean, that's a factual statement.
I'm trying to bring up the mood a little bit.
You
know, it's news. They weren't practicing previously. They had a bye, and neither of them were practicing then because one had a concussion and one was dealing with an injury. So,
I don't know what.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That'll bring up the mood. Dr. Spot is here. There you go.
Spot. Glad he can make it.
Yeah.
Fields still has the job. No.
Hanging by a thread on that one.
Wilson logged a full practice today.
I saw that game.
Aiden O'Connell. So Minshew's done for now.
I mean, sure. Like that's not real. Hey, what's up, Polo?
Hey, Polo.
Yeah, I mean,
all the Bills players are hurt.
You didn't even you're not even doing the real one.
What, Saleh getting fired?
Yeah, that's the real. Thank God.
That defense looks so good. That was what he was hired for, right?
No. His job. He was hired to win. He was hired to win football games, and he was hired by not the guy who owns the Jets. He was hired by his brother. It's important to remember that the guy who owns the Jets is a guy named Woody Johnson. I don't think much of Woody Johnson, but Woody Johnson is the guy who owns the Jets. For a long time, he was part of the Donald Trump cabinet. So his brother was running the team. Whatever you think about the Trump presidency and the Trump cabinet, I'm not here to discuss that. That's my opinion. There you go. He ran that team. He made a lot of really interesting decisions. One of them was hiring Robert Saleh. I've never liked Robert Saleh, and far be it for me to celebrate people getting fired from their jobs, but I never liked the man. So you talk about defense all you want. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you were hired by a guy who's not me, and you were hired to win football games and for this year to keep Aaron Rodgers happy. And he's not happy. So Woody Johnson's going to go ahead and get you fired. So having a good defense is not relevant here. It's the fact that you were 2-3 when you should not be 2-3. And Aaron Rodgers is not smiling because Aaron Rodgers is what we're for right or for wrong. I think wrong, but for right or for wrong, that was what your job was. You didn't do it. Free Breece Hall. So there you go.
Hopefully.
So, Daniel, there's only 2 Jets players anybody cares about, and it's Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. If you have other things you care about on that team, I'm sorry, you're probably doing it wrong. And at this point, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to start Breece Hall and you're going to start Garrett Wilson. I don't know what other options you would have that would be better.
Yeah, maybe Conklin.
Yeah,
Because it's just
desperation.
Well, I mean,
that's a more interesting question.
we'll see. Allegedly,
It's
we'll
who rosters Chris Olave is asking this question, and to be honest with you, no one knows. I don't know what that's about. It's one of those situations where it's just really weird.
Well, same side of the coin. Michael Pittman.
Well, that's not a utilization issue. He's been getting targeted like crazy. The fact that Anthony Richardson can't throw the ball in his direction in a way that isn't at the ground or out of the back of the end zone or into another team, the other team picks it off. Like, it's not an issue outside of anything other than Pittman's getting all the targets in the world. The problem is they're just horrible. They're Anthony Richardson targets. So they're like into the ground and horrible, and they're all scratched and dented. So when you get Flacco in there, those targets actually go to him because Joe Flacco, I'm not going to rehash the 30-year-old conversation of, is Joe Flacco elite? It's a question of those targets.
Because yes, he is.
No, he's not. They go to the person, like to him, in a way that they can be caught. Whereas Anthony Richardson will give him 8 targets a game, but 6 of them are uncatchable. So that's the problem that you have with that. See, the Olave thing is different. Olave is not getting the targets, which is what he should be getting. But instead, Carr is throwing it to anyone not named Chris Olave. That's a very different thing. So it's
Romeo
not
Dobbs.
Problem. Well, no, that's an even different thing. That's an even different thing. That's Jordan Love. That's a whole separate thing. We'll get into that later. But like related to Olave, I don't know what you do with this at this point. Like, it's with Pittman, the question has become, well, you just hope that he and Richardson can get on the same page because you're kind of screwed. You can't do much with it. And then you saw what happened. Richardson gets hurt. Pittman immediately goes back up to where he should rightfully be and where he has been for years, whenever his quarterback is anyone not named Anthony Richardson. So I don't know what to do with Olave because now you're going to have a couple weeks without Carr. But we've seen Carr go to Richardson or go to Olave in the past. So I don't know what this is. This is a different thing.
Yeah.
It's not meaningfully helpful, though, to people that are rostering Olave. The question that they're asking you in a real way is, what do you do with this? Do you try and trade Olave? Do you cut him? You can't cut him. That's not doing you anything.
Yeah.
So I'll take that option off the table. So what do? Do you trade him at 50 at pennies on the dollar? Because that doesn't seem productive. Or is it the Mark Andrews situation?
Boat, so I don't know.
Or is it the Mark Andrews situation where it's like, well, you're stuck. You can't really start him. It's too early to cut him. And you can't really trade him for pennies on the dollar. So you're just stuck. He's just on your team. And you're just going to have to play other people.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of what I could potentially even trade him for. And, like, could he maybe get Collins because people are worried that he's going to be out for
Collins is going to be
6 weeks?
It's going to be out for 4 weeks minimum. So, but that's not good enough, in my opinion. That's nothing. That's not helping you in a material way. Like, that's all that is just like, okay, well, I'm trading my problems for your problems. But that depends what else is on my team. If you're 4-1 and you can put him in your IR spot and you don't need Chris Olave and you're 4-1 in spite of that, then sure. But that's not a lot of people. Like, that's a very small amount of people that might be relevant for. So it's tough. We're getting to the point, Jason, where we can start making critical decisions. Because believe it or not, the halfway point of the fantasy season is in 2 weeks. The end of next week, not this coming week, but the end of the week after, we will be halfway through the fantasy season. So by that point, decisions have to start getting made. You know what I mean? You're running out of time to start evaluating some of these people. And we always preach patience. You know what I mean? But we're getting to that point where patience time will be over soon.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I wish I had a good answer on Olave. I really have no idea what to do. I mean, I'm trying to think of ways to trade him, but issue is for what? As always, seems to be the common thread is, I mean, because you are going to have to sell him at a discount unless you can find somebody who's going to believe that Rattler is going to be the way for the next potentially 4 weeks. Or Hainer. I mean, neither
It's
one of
not
those.
going to be Hainer. Like that. We saw enough of Hainer in the very limited sample where we just kind of know, like, that's kind of it. So, all right, fine. I'll be the grown up. I'll look it up. All right. Let's figure it out here.
Because that's standard. Gotta get out of that nonsense. Because currently he's wide receiver 32. Just behind Jalen Tolbert. Xavier Worthy, Zay Flowers. Just ahead of Jameson Williams, Khalil Shakir, Amari Cooper. Think you can turn Olave into Cooper?
I wouldn't want to.
Not even the hope he might.
I wouldn't do that. Because if you're going by the fantasy pros, their rest of season rankings in PPR have Chris Olave at 12. So that's fantasy pros. That's what they have. So, if you're using that as a benchmark, then you're way down there. But you're at a point where I'll tell you right now what I would do. I would try to get T. Higgins. I would go out and I would trade Chris Olave for T. Higgins just to be done with this. Just because I'm not waiting anymore. I'm done. I'm moving on. So that's where it is. I don't want Adams. I don't want Pickens. I don't want Zay Flowers, because that's like, I know Zay Flowers had a good game, but that's the same volatility roller coaster you're on now. No, I would try for Brian Thomas, but no one's going to do that. You can try, but I don't think anyone's going to give you Brian Thomas.
Probably have to add something to it.
Yeah. I would take Terry McLaurin. I would take I mean, that's kind of where you are. Like, but if you're done with Olave because you're just done with this because you've been if you're just done with Olave at this point, then there you go. That's what I would say is I would go out and I would try to get T. Higgins. Because that's something that hasn't produced, that has been a little better recently. But the problem you're going to have with that is that T. Higgins had a good game last week. He caught 2 touchdowns. So you might be a week late on this. But that's kind of what the ballpark that I'm in is. I'm looking for a Higgins. I might be, if my team was good, I might be willing to look at Cooper Kupp. And the argument you're going to have to make to people about Olave is that he has an excellent strength of schedule for the playoffs. Because down the stretch, they do have a really favorable schedule for the playoffs. Because they play the Giants, Washington, which I know Washington scores a lot of points, but their defense sucks. Green Bay, defense sucks. And Vegas, defense sucks. So you're playing lots of good defenses down the stretch. But that's where you are. So if you're just done with it and you're over it and you don't want to be on this ride anymore because the ride has become unfun now with Derek Carr being out, that's kind of the neighborhood that I'm in. I'll be looking for Terry McLaurin.
Marvin Harrison?
What?
Marvin Harrison Jr.?
No one will do that. No one of sense. If someone was willing to do that, I would smash that immediately. No one of sense would do that.
Well, I'm just asking because he's on the trade block in one of mine, and I'm like, well,
I would happily do the deal. I just don't think anyone's going to do it.
I'm wondering if I can't go.
This is what it is. Like,
yeah,
if I'm 2-3 or 1-4 and I'm pissed and I'm desperate and I have to win now because I can't wait for the Saints to figure out their lives anymore, then we're moving on and we're going to put them up there. But The reason this is happening, Steve, because I don't know when you got here, but the reason this conversation is happening is because this is my entire life. Is all day, and frankly for the last couple weeks, all I do is answer this question, both real life and here. But what do I do with Chris Olave? What do I do? And it's like, okay, well, you either have to wait and be patient and hope that they figure it out, and that maybe Rattler can get him the ball a little more effectively, or you just need to be done and you need to go start targeting something that has less volatility, whose quarterback isn't hurt. And that's why I'm saying it's, for me, those are like the T. Higginses and the Brandon Ayuks and the Terry McLaurinses, and possibly the Debo Samuelses of the world, where they have their quarterback healthy and you can move on from the Saints and this nightmare. Because at this point, the only thing with Carr now hurt, the only thing that you're going to feel good about week to week on the Saints is Alvin Kamara, because he's going to get he'll get all the work. No issues with that. But everybody else is going to have some warts on it. But I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to sell to what Steve's talking about. I wouldn't want to sell if I was even 500, because you're just not going to get a competent ROI. There you go. There you go. So there you go. So come to the Discord, ask your questions. We'll do our best to get those answered. And
okay, so I just need to throw it into the
and that's what it is. So everyone except Jason. Jason will get banned if he asks that question.
Why do you hate me?
I think you know.
Of course, I'm trying to ask questions, and
I see this, and then the question's nowhere around. So Dark Sage, I'm waiting. Ask the question if you're gonna just put it in the chat. Don't leave me.
This is terrifying.
And then Daniel, it's the same thing here. Ask the question, put the trade questions on there. I can understand wanting to be done. If anything, I have more confidence in this than I did before, because I think I genuinely, and this has been my belief for a long time, I was never a Saleh guy. I don't want to celebrate people getting fired from their jobs, but I'm going to do it a little bit here because I never liked Robert Saleh. And I think it is a Saleh issue. I think I hold him responsible for a lot of that. The fact that they look like crap on offense and that they're not featuring their guys, I lay at the feet of Saleh, because ultimately it is his job. And the whole Breece Hall not getting utilized thing, I think, is a Saleh level issue. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to learn a lot here in the next week or two, because I think with Saleh gone, they're going to go and feed Breece Hall and say, we had this guy, we got this guy, use him. And then Garrett Wilson is going to get all the targets. And we're going to see if that fails with them doing that. Okay, now you have something to as your parents say, quit crying or I'll give you something to cry about. That's what this is going to turn into, because they're going to give Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson all the targets and all the run, and we're going to see if that works. And here's why that's concerning. If it works and they win games, no more complaining about my Jet starters. Then what's going to happen is, what's scary is if it fails. See, if that fails and they're not winning games, now you got a problem. Now you're going to get something to cry about, because they're going to go, what are the people in the interim positions going to do? They're going to go a different direction, because they're trying to what, class? Remain employed. That's
win. That's
to win. Yeah, you win, but to what end? Remaining employed. That's what you're going to do. Winning is a means to an end. It keeps you employed. So that's what that turns into. So, and this, I agree with this. I have other examples of this too that aren't just Rex Ryan, but Rex Ryan's a good one. Yeah, really, really awesome. Defensive minded coach. There are people. Vance Joseph is another one. Who's the old guy who coaches?
Kubiak.
No. Well, that's one, but no. The older
Oh.
guy, older than that. Coaches
Oh.
for Philly now. Used to run Miami. Head coach of Denver. Or
I thought it
not
just
Denver.
went Kubiak.
No, it's not Kubiak. Vic Fangio.
Oh, yeah.
Vic Fangio. Yeah, like there's certain guys like that where it's like Robert Saleh. I think fits into that mold. Like guys, I would be happy. Vance Joseph especially. It might be a Hackett issue, and that's why I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying about. That's what I'm saying about. That's what I'm saying about. Uh, we're gonna find out because they're gonna give those guys the ball. They're gonna feature their stars, Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson, and if it works and they win games, everybody's happy. All the fantasy people are happy. All the Jets people are happy because they'll be winning games, and everybody will be happy. And if that fails, you got a problem because everybody's fired. You got a problem because everybody's fired, and they'll start playing other people, and that's going to be your main issue. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if it was a Hackett issue because I don't think he's very good either. We have a question real quick. Drop Wicks for Pierce.
Yes.
Sure.
With Watson coming back, Dobbs being back. Well, Watson's more up in the air. Dobbs is going to be playing this week. Not that it helps a whole lot, but that just ruins Wicks again.
I've been unequivocally clear that the only one I want on that team is Reed because it's the only one that you could actually count on. I've been saying that since 30 teams in 32 days. No, even then, I told you it's a 2 quarterback thing. Jacobs has been a pleasant surprise. That's one where I've actually been wrong.
Oh,
if you my actual take was and continues to be the only thing I want on that team is Reed because it's the only thing that you could consistently count on, and even then, there's some volatility with that. Jacobs has actually been a pleasant surprise. He's gotten more run than I thought he would get. I thought it would be more of a timeshare between him and Wilson because that team typically runs a 2 running back approach. And Jacobs has actually been a pleasant surprise. He's been playing better than what I thought he would. But as far as the rest of it goes, I'm not interested in the rest of it. I don't care. Like that's what it is. And Andrews and Likely need to trade one.
Yeah, or drop one.
You're
not going to get a whole lot coming back, Polo, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's because it's a tight end. Where's all my year of the tight end people? Oh, they've already stopped watching? Oh, yeah, because they're out eliminated already? Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. You can tell I don't feel bad. Yeah, I've got what's really annoying about that is we were talking about rest of season rankings. Fantasy Pros has given up. They've got Likely at 16 and Andrews at 18. How the mighty have fallen. I'd say Polo, here's your reality. You've got like 2 more weeks on this. I would trade either one. My point to you is this. To me, it's the Spider-Man meme at this point. Pick the one that you like and then trade the other one. Take what you can get over the course of the next 2 weeks. Because if they haven't figured this out by the next 2 weeks, we're firmly getting to that point where you can draft capital is mattering less. And by the time we get to by the end of not this week's show, but by the time we get to the end of next week's week 7, you're halfway through the end of this. You're halfway through the fantasy season. At that point, we can start making some real critical evaluative decisions because you're going to be running out of time to do things. So I'd say pick the one that you like. I would probably keep Andrews. I think it would actually be easier to keep Andrews because I think Andrews, the stink is all over him. Whereas Likely is one of those things where you can go to people and say, but look what he's been doing. And it's just it's a better narrative. Because I think Andrews is going to have the Andrews stink all over him, where it was like, it was a 2nd round pick and everybody's mad. So that's what I would do is I would trade one of them. What do you think about that, Jason?
I just don't like how Andrews is really good at blocking, and that is really hurting his fantasy value. So Likely not so much, but he is good when he gets the ball in his hands. So they seem to be leaking him out more than Andrews, while Andrews is stuck blocking. So of them, I'm probably going to lean Likely. But at that same point, if you're going to trade, you might as well trade Likely for more and drop Andrews and pick somebody else up. I've told people to drop Andrews for a while already. Probably about 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
That is not a good sign. Yep. And that's kind of what it is. And so that's to say, I'm looking forward to our new advice moving forward, at least the way, God, I finally get to do the shows I've wanted to do.
Don't
Moving
go that
forward all
far.
next year, all the 32, and we take, and now, and we're finally playing the fantasy football the way I've wanted to for a long time. We eliminate tight end, and in leagues where you have to play tight end, it's tight end in round 14, defense in round 15, kicker in round 16. And we don't have this conversation anymore. I'm looking forward to next year. It's going to be great. God, finally get to do this the way I've wanted to do it for years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Salah was going to fire Hackett. Probably a good call. And then Johnson fired Salah. And that's why I'm saying. So this is where it pays to not be as high up on the chain of command for Hackett, because Hackett basically bought himself another couple weeks. Uh Moon pies. What a time to be alive. But yeah, it's what it is. Like Hackett basically bought himself another couple weeks to fight for his job. But that's why I'm telling you, Jets player rosters, Daniel primarily in this chat, enjoy it, because they're going to force feed Brees Hall. I think is what's going to happen over the next couple weeks, and they're going to target the living crap out of Garrett Wilson, because they're going to do that because that's what the guy who runs the team, Woody Johnson, is going to demand that you do. So they're going to do that, and it's either going to work and they're going to win games and everybody will be happy. The fantasy people will be happy. Hackett will be happy because he gets to remain employed. Garrett Wilson will shut up. Brees Hall will shut up, and everybody will be happy because the Jets will be winning games. Or that won't work, and then everybody will be sad. And then Nathaniel Hackett will get fired. And then I'll be happy. And then all the fantasy people will be sad, because that means that, yeah, now you got a problem. Now you got a big problem. You got a big problem at that point. That's where it gets into that. But I'll tell you right now, Daniel, I know why the context of why you're asking me these questions. It's because you roster Brees Hall. And I will tell you right now, Brees Hall is one of my trade target, is one of my buys. I view Brees Hall as a major buy down the stretch, because the Hall hate is at an all-time high right now, and people are looking to unload him for pennies on the dollar. It's the same thing with Olave. Like the Olave hate is at an all-time high. The Brees Hall hate is at an all-time high, and I'm not the only person who feels that way. That it makes him a buy and acquire target, not a sell target, and it's for the reasons that I just mentioned. Is that now that this has happened, this is actually a major boost to the Brees Hall people. Also, his schedule down the stretch is insane. The Brees Hall schedule down the stretch for the Brees Hall schedule down the stretch for the playoffs. Oh, 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 it's so good. Oh, I want to just rub it on myself. So the Brees Hall situation is being wildly overblown by people that are just panicking, and they're just out here in the streets panicking, and that's fine. I'm using that to my advantage. If they want to go panic, that's on them. So my advice is never panic. Panicking, what I frequently tell people, whatever the situation you're facing in life, panicking is always the wrong choice. Panicking is always wrong. See, there you go. And I'm not the only one who feels that way. So, yeah, like Brees Hall down the stretch for the playoffs, Miami, Jacksonville, the Rams, Buffalo, Seattle. My God, so good. I think we just have to consider also that the Bills' defense might just suck.
Well, also injured. A lot of injuries, and Von Miller being on NFI.
Sure.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. Steve's here to take his Juju Hail Mary. Enjoy that. I'm vaguely aware of you guys talking about that on Monday.
Well, last Monday in this month.
Whatever Monday.
Yeah.
Pick a Monday. All right. Here you go. Olave, Shaheed, McLaurin. I'm assuming it's one. That's for this week.
Okay. So it's next week. Saints play the Bucks. Commanders play the Ravens. Seattle plays the 49ers. And then you're not playing Wicks, so it doesn't matter. I'm kind of just when I say Olave anyway, because of the fact that Shaheed and Kamara are both hurt.
I have it as McLaurin. So
okay. Same note then. Geno Smith, Jaden Daniels, or Kirk Cousins?
What is this question?
Which quarterback? I'm terrified of playing Jaden Daniels this week versus the Ravens because I don't know which Ravens defense is going to show up.
I have Jaden Daniels at 2 overall. That'll answer your question. So I am not afraid. As you know, Jason, I am not a coward. I am not afraid. The Baltimore defense has been wildly inconsistent, and I'm not afraid of it. So I was just like, I'm not afraid. So I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. I'm just not. I'm more afraid of Chris Olave having Spencer Rattler as his quarterback than I am of the Baltimore defense. That's why I have it rated the way that I do. I don't think that, but it's two different questions. It's what do I trade Chris Olave for, or do I trade Chris Olave, or do I play Chris Olave over Terry McLaurin? Yeah, it's two different questions. Not the same thing.
Well, I'm talking about who I'm starting. So it's the same thing in my mind.
Yeah, it's really not. Very different questions. Is there an answer in there? Are you playing Olave?
Well, I said it's either Olave or McLaurin. So you said McLaurin. I'm fine going with that. I just
Okay.
got to see what Spencer has first. Makes me a little nervous.
I'm playing McLaurin. That's what I'm doing, Daniel. I'll give you a straight answer. Yeah. See, then that's the problem with this, is that they keep putting him in this idiotic timeshare that isn't working. And I think that's over now that Sal has been fired. Because I think it's going to be made very clear that he was fired because of their record. We expect you to play our stars and get them involved and make this work. And I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm doubling down. If people are afraid and they're trying to trade Breece Hall for pennies on the dollar, I'm buying. I'm here to acquire. I got my checkbook in my hand. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, okay. Yeah. At least Daniel admits it. Laporta or Kraft? I'm assuming PPR. Well, this is a tough one, actually, because I literally have them one spot apart.
Yeah, Lions play Dallas and Packers play Cardinals. Ugh.
I have Laporta one spot ahead of Kraft, but yeah, to be honest with you, I'm actually going to flip this. I'm going to make a rankings adjustment live on the air, and I'm going to move Kraft one spot ahead of Laporta, and we're going to play Kraft. That's what I'm going to do. So there you go, Dr. Squatch. You got me to do it. I changed my rankings. Here, I'm saving it. I'm saving it right now. Changed my rankings live on the air. I've got Kraft. Kraft over Laporta this week. Not a good matchup for either player. There you go. Steve says Laporta. There you go.
Reason I'm going Laporta, though, is actually the over-under at 52.5 for the Cowboys.
It is booty cheeks. And I am not wrong. So, yeah, I'm trying to be diplomatic at some of this because not everything is a trash fire. Although most of the NFL is kind of a dumpster fire this year, if we're being honest. Like, it's kind of a dumpster fire every week at this point. You would think that it would be getting better after like the first 4 weeks. It typically does. It's not getting better. It's just going to be a tire fire, it looks like. Big old dumpster fire. Especially because this week you also have buys to contend with. So no Miami this week, no Chiefs this week. Thank God, because I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the Chiefs.
Dude, welcome to my life. You know, every week after they win, they play their song on the intercom at work.
No, because I don't live in Kansas,
Oh.
and
Drives me insane.
I'm good. Yeah, that would be annoying. So yeah, we've got that going, and then you've also got a another London game this week. So don't forget about that, folks out there in listener land. You've got Jacksonville versus the Bears, in London, this Sunday. So what a time to be alive, as Steve said. So enjoy that. Jonathan. Okay, pick 2: Jonathan Taylor, Brian Robinson, Olave, Shaheed, JSN. Well, okay. Well, if Jonathan Taylor's playing, then it would be Jonathan Taylor, but that's remains to be determined.
Yeah.
So put that off to the side. If he's playing, I'm playing him. But if he's not playing, obviously you got to go elsewhere. I'm playing Brian Robinson. You saw that he was going to be involved. The issue you have is that game got out of control, and they shut him down because they were winning by 20. It was 24-6 in like the start of the second quarter. So they were playing Brian Robinson. But then they were up by such a sarcastic amount that they just shut him down because they didn't need him. And he still had 12 fantasy points. Playing like a third of the game, he had 12 fantasy points. So I don't think that's...
Which boosted him.
But I don't see... okay, that's going to happen. If they're going to move the ball, that's going to happen. So in reality, where we are is I don't think they're going to be able to just blow the Ravens out the way they did the horrible Browns. The Browns that are also... The Browns are the next one where everybody's going to get fired. This close. Like, one more week. Like, that's been going. There's going to be wholesale changes in Cleveland. So the reality of it is that Brian Robinson, I'm not afraid of the knee, is kind of my way of saying that. Like, he was questionable, and I know people were freaked out. The only reason he only had 12 points was because the game was out of reach. So they gave him the rest of the week off, which I don't even blame them, by the way. I'd have done the exact same thing and been like, yeah, you can go sit down. Like, we got it, Brian. So I would play Brian Robinson, and then it's a question of who do I like after that? And that's a tougher one.
JSN.
Yeah, I'd probably play JSN. Just to give myself... It's not that... I technically have a lot of rated higher. I do. But JSN is close enough to where I would probably just ride out JSN and give the whole Saints situation a week just to see what it looks like. Since I don't have to play him, I wouldn't.
My thing with the Seahawks, if they have to throw, which they're playing the 49ers, more likely they're going to have to throw, JSN has value. That's really the determining factor for me.
So there you go. So that's what I'm saying. I don't even think he's going to play. So it's a high ankle sprain. Highly unlikely he would even play. So I really don't think you're going to be forced into that. I think for me, I would probably just play Brian Robinson and JSN just because if I don't have to play any Saints, I won't, even though technically I do have Olave rated a little bit higher than JSN, but it's close enough to where I'd be like, just for security reasons, we don't need to worry about this problem. So we won't worry about this problem. Let's see. Dowdle and Kirk for Godwin.
Sure. This has to be really running back needy team.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
I would do it. It gets me out of the Christian Kirk business, which is a business that I'd like to be out of at this point. Hang on real quick. Daniel, to put a fine point on this, I think both of us would tell you to accept that deal. I would take that deal. I can't imagine you need Dowdle, and you're getting what is like a very high-end wide receiver too.
A stable
for this. Yeah, stable high-end wide receiver too. For Dowdle, who clearly is the starting running back for the Cowboys.
That's a plus.
For what that's worth.
Yeah.
Not much. And then Christian Kirk, who's like all over the place. So Yeah, and that's another exactly. Like I don't trust this until people start getting fired.
Outside of Brian Thomas.
Sure, outside of Brian Thomas, but Brian Thomas is going to be one of those things very, very soon. That's going to be
Too expensive to get.
unacquirable. Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to move Olave for him.
Yeah, like you're set at running back. I would do that deal, Daniel. I would go do that deal right now. I think
Click
you're
yes and
good.
get out of it.
And then Josh, we've covered this a few times, and it was covered by Jason and Steve on Monday. I believe I'll let them talk about it. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you can wait, because clearly he's on bye this week. But seems to be the one. The only thing that might ruin that is if they trade for somebody. But until that happens, he's the only wide receiver to go over 100 yards since. Oh wait, Juju did it.
Yeah, right. So no, Juju is one where I've come around to the idea that now that we know what's going to happen, now that we know that Rashee Rice is done for the year, and they're going to have to move, they're going to have to do something. Considering this is just a waiver claim, yes, it's absolutely worth the roster spot, because you could still just cut him if they go out and sign somebody.
Yeah.
So that's where it is. It's like he's absolutely worth the roster spot though. But yeah, a lot of players, lot of good stuff here. A lot of good stuff here with that. So Juju should be just fine, just fine. Until if and when the reality that they will sign someone. But if Juju plays well enough, they might not sign anyone. Because I think they would prefer, if they had their way about it, to just save money, right? So they would probably prefer to just save some cash. But he's absolutely worth the roster spot. If you can go roster Juju Smith-Schuster, you should run. Don't walk. You should run to the waiver wire and go cut the worst thing off your roster and pick him up. Yeah, that's kind of the subtext of my point, is that they might trade for Amari Cooper, but that's going to take a little while still. And then even if they do, it's going to take Amari Cooper a couple weeks to learn the playbook. Whereas Juju knows the playbook. That's why he's been successful now that he's kind of getting back into football shape. Like he's got the week off, which I love, because he got all that usage, and then he gets a week off to go rest his old bones, and he should be looking good. The only thing is that, yeah, they're probably going to sign somebody. And so do I think Juju's going to be like a long-term thing? Probably not. I don't view it as like a long-term solution, but for the next few weeks, absolutely. He's worth the roster spot. It's the Michael Pittman thing, Steve. It's the Michael Pittman thing that I was talking about earlier, where he's getting targets. They're just, when they're Anthony Richardson targets, they're just in the ground or hitting the peanut guy, or like they're all scratched and dented. They're all horrible targets. Like, he's getting the targets, they're just not quality targets. That's the problem. Hey, what's up, Daniel? All right, we're gonna have to, at some point there will be a wall of Daniel questions here. So I think we're good there. For those of you waiting on roster resolutions, Jason and I will be working on those on Friday. Just so we're clear, Jason and I will be working on that on Friday after work. So you should be expecting to hear. You should be expecting to see your roster resolutions get turned around Friday evening. Friday evening, possibly. Worst case scenario, Saturday morning, very early. But I'd say Friday evening is realistically where we're at. And then we're gonna try to clear the decks on that one. So that'll be good. And then we'll have a whole new crop, I'm sure, because people are purchasing the roster resolutions, and we are grateful for that. And just making sure we haven't missed anything. I don't think we have.
Dude, I thought for sure you were about to start doing Doug.
Oh, I could do that. I could do that if you want.
Dude. I was like, oh no, we're going to get in trouble.
Copyright infringement. Copyright strike. Copyright strike.
Not with Disney. We're getting in trouble. Not
Does
doing
Disney
that
own
one.
that? Does Disney own that now?
Yeah.
I don't know if they own that or not.
Random stuff I was going through last night. I was looking at what was all on Disney, and I was like, hey, there's Doug.
Oh God.
Also, Gargoyles. It's another one I found.
The 90s Gargoyles cartoon. Yeah.
Man, the how far we've come.
in the wrong direction.
Well, no, just animation in general. I think it's
Oh. They redid the 90s X-Men.
yeah.
They're doing that. I don't know if you ever watched the 90s X-Men show.
Well, yeah, I liked Bandit. Is that the right name?
Gambit.
Gambit. Thank you. I was like, it's something weird.
They've brought that back as I think it's on Netflix. X-Men 97.
Oh yeah.
So they've brought that back for all us aging millennials because they know that we'll just eat that crap up with a spoon. So get ready for that because that's probably so. If you like the Gargoyles cartoon, they'll probably bring that back too at some point. Although I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the guy who did the voice acting for that is still alive. He might not be.
Well, I don't. Have you? Well, probably not. HBO Max has a Harley Quinn series with Kaylee Cuoco being Harley Quinn.
Not interested.
It's adult, and so it's pretty funny.
Mm.
I enjoy it because it has like Alan Tudyk and like just really random people.
It is not too late, Daniel, to buy those.
Didn't you already buy one?
He's bought several, but no, you
Okay.
can keep buying them. We pulled it down, Daniel, for a week because we got too many. We literally got slammed
And we're like,
in a way
"Oh,
that
no."
we weren't expecting. And it's like, well, we literally can't do these that fast. So we had to pull it down for a week to clear the decks, and then we put it back up. All right. Angela won. All right, there
Woo!
it is. Sandborough. God damn.
Wow.
All right. Well, still won. Didn't matter. All right. So Ford, Bijan, Moss, Rashard White, and oh boy, there's a lot of names on this. So we picked
Well, Moss is dealing with
running
injury.
backs.
White's dealing with injury. Probably gonna definitely play Pollard. I think Pollard is in. Dobbins plays Broncos. Don't like that. Who do the Browns play? I feel like I've already said the Browns once tonight. Eagles. It's just so hard to get away from Ford and PPR. I really want to go Bijan, but it's just so difficult to trust him.
Well, the problem is that like Bijan it draws Carolina.
Yeah.
And so I'm going back to the well. I'm going back to the well on it. I can't not do it. So I'm going back to Bijan, and then I'm playing Pollard because Pollard draws the Colts.
It's so close with Moss though. If Moss goes,
yeah, but Pollard is got work, and he's coming off the bye, and I think he's going to get work again. So I'm rolling. That's my answer. Is I'm rolling Bijan, whatever we're calling this guy at this point. And well, some people have started saying he likes to be called Bijan, so I don't know anymore. And then I'm playing Pollard. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I wish Moss was healthy because I could see him just tearing up New York.
Yeah, but he ain't.
I know. So
did not practice Wednesday. Don't like that it's a foot injury.
Ankle.
Yeah, they're listing it as a foot, but whatever. I have it up literally in front of me. So and then like my other choice might be Ford. He would be the next one I have, but I don't trust anything Browns related. That's another one where until people start getting fired, I'm out. So for me, this is actually by process of and then Rashard White is in a timeshare for reasons that I think are stupid. So and then Dobbins is back.
Looked much better between the tackles. You have to agree with. Well, you have to agree with it.
I don't actually have to agree with anything. I could literally sit here and tell you that the sky is orange. Like I could literally do that. Don't tell me what to do. Actual real talk, Angela, to make this simple and not a bickering competition between the two of us. It's for me, it's Bijan and it's Pollard because those are the two guys that I trust. They both have the best. They have the best two matchups, and they're both going to get volume. Bijan should get even more volume than he will get, but he's going to get enough to matter. So for me, it's Bijan and Pollard, and everything else on that team has warts. It's got problems. Dobbins' problem primarily being that he had two really good games. He had two. Well, he's on the Chargers. He had two really good games, and then he started slowing down, and that's common for guys dealing with the injury that he has. So, I'm not super sold on Dobbins for the whole season here at this point, but I am sold on Bijan and Pollard. Jason, are you going to countermand that?
No, like I said, if I knew Moss was going to play, it's just the D and P. You have to go with Bijan and Pollard. And Eagles actually have a pretty good front.
It's been a long week, Daniel. Everybody's in a bad mood. Okay,
we're both at work. We're both very frustrated.
Jason and I are not having a fun time outside of Look, mommy and daddy aren't fighting. Okay, and for the purpose of this, I'll just go ahead and be mommy. Mommy and daddy are not fighting. It's nothing that the children did. It's that in the real world, outside of this, Jason and I are not having a fun time at the old salt mine. Let's just say, yeah, and it's bleeding over into everything else. Don't worry, mommy and daddy aren't fighting. We're not going to get divorced. This has nothing to do with this or the show or anything. But that's where it is. Yeah, Jason and I have been talking offline, and it's like, yo, that's not helpful. That's not helpful.
Steve's over here lying.
If he slaps me, I'll leave his ass, and I'll take everything, Daniel. I'll take everything. I'll get it all. I'll get all of it. He was an idiot. He didn't have me sign no prenup. I'll get my half. They're gonna garnish his wages by the time I'm done. That's how that's gonna go. All right. All right. We'll start doing the Daniel questions, the weekly Daniel questions, because I know I've been waiting for them. Fields or Dak?
Dak.
That's a good question. Yes, I have Dak 3 spots higher, Daniel. Kincaid or Goddard?
Kincaid, since everybody seems to be back for the Eagles. And it doesn't look like Shakir is going to be back.
I have Kincaid.
Granted, doesn't help a whole lot, but
I have Kincaid 2 spots higher. I will warn you that I have both of the. These are horrible matchups. They're both horrible matchups.
Yes.
So, but I do have Kincaid 2 spots higher. Not helpful.
You joking me?
Pick 3: Olave, Shaheed, Pittman, JSN, Wandale.
Well, Wandale, JSN, and Olave.
Yeah.
Pittman dealing with injury, Shaheed dealing with injury. Take the people that are healthy.
Wandale, JSN, Olave.
Sweet. Same page. Congrats.
That ain't good.
Yep. That's what I have. That's why. It's a back, man. A lot of stretching and getting hurt because, bad targets.
I didn't even hear about this today. I'm literally learning about this in real time. When did he get hurt?
They say, I'm guessing in a game, but they just brought it up today.
I'm learning about this today, like right now.
Oh,
I did not know that.
Yeah, multiple weeks.
Yeah.
Josh Downs dealing with ankle, also did not practice today.
There you go. So going back to that Pollard thing, moving Pollard up even more. Pollard just coming up. Because that team, if they don't have Downs or Jonathan Taylor, or Pittman, that team is trash. That team is hot trash.
Alec Pierce about to be wide receiver
On
1.
IR because he's going to
He's
get
gonna
hurt.
get hurt this
Yeah, like
He's going to
that
see
team
enough
is
targets and get hurt.
trash. Like that's going to be bad. Yo, the Colts about to be like straight done. Well, there goes 2 of my fantasy teams. Right in the pooper. All right. Well, it's been nice working with you. I'm retiring to go to Zihuatanejo. Gibbs, Hall, Mostert, Dowdle, and Chandler. I was going to try and move Chandler to a Jones. Do the trade for Godwin and keep Chandler. Aaron Jones is week to week, man. And I've seen, look, speaking as a Aaron Jones rosterer from years gone by, let me explain something to you. He ain't, that's it. Like, he ain't going to be, that's that guy.
100% rest of the season.
He's not going to be 100% for the rest of the season. So Chandler, this is why Chandler was a very attractive handcuff all year. So it's going to be that it do be that way. And Dowdle will get the work, but the efficiency is terrible. So it's like I don't even care. Like he'll get the work, but I don't care. So I would much rather just do the Godwin deal. Like just get the thing that's consistent. That's what I want. Daniel.
Half PPR per rush. 2, 4, 6. I need 6. Okay. Well, looks like Robinson and Hall. Looks like you're starting all of your running backs except for Dobbins.
Yeah, and then you just got done talking about Downs probably not playing.
Yeah, and if Downs is healthy, you're playing Downs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, is Neighbors part of that flex?
I think Neighbors. I think so. This is confusingly worded. So it's Neighbors.
Okay. Kirk, Downs, Wandale.
Hang on. I got to do this a different way because it's like it's all over the road here.
Yeah, just
you can play 4 running backs, so you would play all of them except for Dobbins. I agree with that. That's what it is.
Yes.
And then you're going to play 2 wide receivers, so Neighbors and then Wandale. And that's it. And that's your lineup. It's 4 running backs and 2 wide receivers. Kirk gets eliminated because he's on Jacksonville. So no. And Downs is hurt.
But if he goes, and I know Richardson again, limited practice today, we'll see. Guessing he's probably going to play. But if he doesn't, if Flacco plays, Josh Downs. He is your starter over Wandale every day.
Who is?
Josh Downs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Downs. If Downs is playing and he's out there by himself with
100 targets,
everyone else hurt, and it's especially if it's Flacco, even if it's Richardson, it's still really good. But especially if it's Flacco, yeah, Josh Downs to the moon.
25 targets.
Josh Downs 25 targets, and then Josh Downs will be on IR after that. So enjoy the 1 week while you have it, because they'll literally get him killed. They'll run him into the ground. Because we've seen what it looks like when they targeted Donnie Mitchell. And that is to say, so we've seen that. Like it looks like he's out there just sharding himself to death. Like it's pretty bad. Donnie Mitchell needs like an entire offseason to figure out how to play pro football. Every time they go to target him, he's just clearly not on the same page as whoever the quarterback is. And Alec Pierce at this point has proven that he only knows how to do one thing. And that thing is run down the field with his arm up. And as long as he's healthy, he's a freakish athlete. But he's probably going to get killed, given the way that he plays. Because we've seen that a lot, where it's like Alec Pierce.
I love those players, though, man.
He's here for a good time, not a long time, as I like to say. Like he's going to go out and do something crazy, and then he's going to fall awkwardly and hurt himself, or get pile drived into the ground because he weighs like 80 pounds. And that's going to be it. So, and Adonai Mitchell is not ready. He needs help. All right, what do you got here?
4.
4. Sutton, McLeod, Tucker, Hill, Judy, Shakir, Sermon.
Definitely
Sermon if
Sermon.
starting.
Sermon's probably starting.
McLeod,
Yeah.
1. Yeah, it's gonna be Ray. Hill, 2. Is Shakir on the IR? Did I miss that too?
He's not on the IR, but he is still injured.
Okay.
He did not practice today. But to be honest, no Bills practice today.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm throwing that out.
Shakir and Samuel.
So I'm playing Hill and McLeod, and then Sutton, and I'm crossing my fingers that he falls into the end zone, because that's what that is at this point. You're just praying that he falls into the end zone. And yeah, so that's 3. And then Judy, I guess. And I gross.
Going Judy over Hill?
I already said Hill. Hill was the
okay.
second thing I said.
Okay.
It's Judy or Shakir or Sermon is the last ones because I'm not playing Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
So
surprisingly, Ray is the first name out of your mouth. I'm like,
it's Ray. Ray is actually relatively consistent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get those 8 fantasy points. I know what I'm getting.
Yeah, it's gonna be Ray Sermon.
If he's starting, which I assume he is. I'm actually assuming he is.
Yeah.
That's why
I'm throwing it out there because
it's hideously inefficient, and that team is horrible, especially with no Pittman.
Sutton, golly, man, I probably Hill PPR. I don't.
It's got to be Hill.
It's a Brown. It's a Brown.
Yeah, Daniel, this sucks. I can understand why you wrote us this question, because this is a legitimate question. But yeah, I gave you mine. I'm probably not even playing Sermon even if he's starting. I'm just gonna play Sutton, Ray, Hill, and then probably just roll out Jerry Judy. As gross as it is, even though he had a terrible week last week, but I can't trust Shakir because he can't stay on the field. Singletary or Ford?
Singletary, assuming he goes. He did practice today, limited, but counts. It's the Bengals, man.
Oh, I see why I have it that way. For right now, it's Ford because Ford is healthy, but ask me this question on Sunday morning. That's a question for Sunday. I need practice reports before I'll change my answer. I agree with the general logic, Jason. If I knew that it was I knew Singletary was playing, then it would be Singletary, but I'm not convinced that Singletary is playing. He's going to need to practice and prove to me that he's actually going to play. I agree with the general logic, but and then pick 3. So sit one of these: Debo, DK, Reed, Pickens, Tolbert.
Sit 2.
2. Sit 2.
I
will sit Pickens and Tolbert.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to get cute.
I think that's right. It's close between Debo and Tolbert, but Debo's Debo. Shanahan's back to his nonsense, so he always makes me gun shy at this point.
Purdy or Stroud?
I think I still have Stroud higher.
I have Purdy 1 spot higher, but they're 10 and 11. Purdy, the only reason for that is Purdy has a better matchup.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So I've got Purdy by 1 spot. I will tell you that CJ Stroud probably has a little bit theoretical higher upside, but I like the matchup for Purdy more. But they're very close.
Yeah, I'm fine going Purdy just because it's there. I actually have Purdy higher. So yeah, Purdy. Because he is playing A-Rich.
Play A-Rich or drop something for a quarterback. Any of that.
Yeah, fine dropping Wicks.
Yeah, you can go ahead and drop Wicks to pick up a quarterback.
And then if Caleb Williams is available, that'd be the one that I'm going after. Jared Goff also going after.
Oh, here you go, Jason. Steve has to brag about his fantasy prowess, but there is a question at the end of that. Daniels or Hurts? I think he means Jaden Daniels, by the way.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's not Daniel Jones.
Could be Danny Dimes. He's got Cincinnati this week. I mean, you said it. Like,
I know. I like them both.
I've got Jaden Daniels. I've got Jaden Daniels one spot higher because I will tell you, I am not afraid of the Baltimore defense, and I've got Daniels one spot higher.
I have it as Hurts because it's the Browns, and I expect him to rush at least one in.
Okay, and I literally have them 2 and 3 in my rankings, by the way. So that's the kind of problem you want to have. I'm familiar with the team he's talking about. He's right. That's directed at you. I wasn't paying attention. Need a defense. Rostering the Vikings.
So you'd be dropping Shaheed and Wicks for unnamed QB and.
Well, here's the thing. I have Anthony Richardson at 26 because I don't think he's starting. So you're probably going to have to do that. You're probably going to have to do something. Or I wouldn't really want to cut Anthony Richardson, but at a certain point, there is a point where I will just cut him because, like, is it a 10-team league? Because if it's a 10-team league, I could probably just pick him back up. It depends what is available. Like, this is one of those situations where it's like, now you're just going to have to give me your whole team and tell me what you want to cut.
We already have his full team.
He has so many teams, I don't know that.
Oh.
And I'm not digging for it. So that's the other thing, is I'm not halting the show to go dig through roster resolutions to go look for whatever
I'm pretty sure this is the one that we did, and I'd be looking to pick up Falcons, or I think the Falcons is probably the one that's the most available right now. Yeah, so it depends on what defense is available, because I don't want to drop the Vikings because they've been playing very well.
Yeah, I tend to not care, if I'm honest. I'll just cut whatever defense because I stream defenses anyway. So my recommendation, Daniel, is just cut the defense. It literally doesn't matter, especially this early in the season. I would just cut them. So it doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have Anthony Richardson than holding on to any defense. So that's my stance on the matter. To me, defense does not matter. I do not care.
Smith and McLaurin.
Yep, Smith and McLaurin. Oh, this is confusing. Okay, so we picked Smith and McLaurin.
Yeah.
And then now we have to pick
2.
No. 1. It's 1. Ford, Stevenson, and whoever you didn't pick in the above. Pick 2 question. So it's a flex question.
Okay.
1.
I think Stevenson, but let me double check to see who they're playing again. Patriots. Nope. Patriots. Texans. Ooh.
I don't need to double check. It's Stevenson for me. The rumors of his death, as we learned, were greatly over exaggerated, as we predicted.
Yeah. I don't know. It's close with Olave. Just because, I think there's just more upside there. And
there is more upside for Olave, but there's also much higher downside. So it gets into that type of conversation where it's like, well, what do I need? Because Ramondre Stevenson couldn't get you a 30 in all likelihood, but Olave theoretically could still if the game goes a certain way. So it's like, if I need to swing for a home run because I think I'm going to lose, then I might play Olave. But this is the problem, is that I don't know about Olave right now. He was already having targeting issue and usage issues. And then now we've got Spencer Rattler out there. Like, and it's like, great. So I don't know what that is anymore. So I don't even know. Could be anything. So the upside is insane because it's normal Olave upside. But the downside is he literally puts up a 0 Whereas Stevenson, I know I'm not going to get a 0. Stevenson, I'm going to get something. So, and I don't trust Ford. So that's where I'm at with it. Is like, I would play Stevenson because I feel like I know what I'm getting.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's really a toss-up. So I mean, to be fair though, Gibson still looked better than Stevenson.
Yeah, okay. I don't agree with that, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people I know were very upset. There was a lot of upsetness happening. Okay. Olave, Wandale, Javante, or Dowdle is what that question is.
It's going to be Robinson.
Yeah.
Love
Wandale.
the matchup.
Wandale, and we're moving on. Laporta or Tucker? I think he
Trey
means
Tucker?
Tucker. I think he means Tucker Craft.
Okay.
We already did this question. He just wasn't here.
Oh, okay. Like I went Laporta.
You and
Kraft.
Steve said Laporta. I said Tucker Craft.
Okay. On the same page.
Amari or Downs if he's healthy?
Downs.
Downs. I agree.
Fields or Hurts?
Yeah, Fields or Hurts. We already did this question too. Hurts. Well, we did a simulacrum of this question. On aggregate, we've done this question.
Yeah.
Hurts. Fields hanging by a thread. Like that's where we are.
Ooh.
And then they'll go play Russell Wilson for 2 games and they'll realize they've made a huge mistake and then we'll go back to Fields. That's what it'll be.
Reed.
Yes. Reed.
The next closest would be Brian Thomas because dude is unstoppable.
The next for me would be Godwin, but I have Godwin rated incredibly highly this week. He owns the Saints.
Yeah.
He owns their little faces. Like he just crushes them into tin cans and takes them to the recycling center. Like it's so I have it as Reed, Godwin because body of work against the Saints. You know what I mean? Like he's so good at just crushing them into nothing.
Well, and also Evans struggles against them.
Yeah, well, it's because they sell out to take away Evans, and so Godwin has a great time doing that.
Yeah.
And then it would be Brian Thomas. And then it probably should be Flowers, but Flowers still scares me. The thing about Flowers this week is that he gets the Commanders secondary, and oh boy, is that attractive.
Especially if
boy, is that it's so attractive.
With the Commanders still moving the ball so well.
Yeah, whereas Brian Thomas is going to get the Bears in London, and they are going to, boy, oh boy, do I believe the Bears will sell out to try and take him away. So it's a question of whether or not they can. One RB, one flex. Hall and Connor.
Oh, you are going Connor.
Mm-hmm.
Hall and JSN.
I'm not afraid.
It's not that I'm afraid. It's just PPR and the fact that I think the Seahawks are going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not worried about that. That'll be fine.
Golly, now I can't get it.
Ingram or Njoku. I think you can drop either one.
Yeah.
Follow your heart. I think you can drop either one.
Probably
Ingram.
Yeah, just because of the injury. That injury's been lingering, and it's soft tissue. So
honestly, Daniel, you could drop either one, whichever one you want to drop. Because I could also make the argument that Njoku is beat up and his quarterback is Deshaun. So you could drop.
Who has clearly forgotten how to play football.
Yep. So those guys can. Oh, you will stand for it. Oh, you'll stand right there. I got so much of it. Like I got so much of it. We don't even have time. The show will be 3 hours.
It'll just be Neil ranting.
Yeah, about how Russell Wilson is terrible and is just an odious personality.
Freiermuth.
Yeah, Freiermuth. You can go ahead and cut Ingram.
Yeah. Because again, as we talked about earlier, injury and
injured, and his quarterback is not good. No, that's not on you. That's not on you. That's just my life. The real question: Standard, Laporta or Justin Tucker?
Laporta.
I don't know. I don't know, man. All right, Jason, who's your quarterback start of the week?
Good question. Let's see. I think it's going to be Jared Goff versus the Cowboys. Cowboys have just been really allowing quarterbacks to kind of have a field day against them. 20 plus fantasy points against any kind of decent quarterback. Carr and Lamar Jackson both put over 20 fantasy points on them. Even Fields put up 15.9 with 131 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Lions are coming off a bye. And, I mean, his best week was the week right before the bye, where he put up 26 fantasy points. I would expect him again to hit that 20 fantasy point mark and keep the Cowboys in trouble.
Okay. Okay, as gross as this is, and I'm going to need certain people to earmuff it, but as gross as this is, and it's gross. It's gross. It's Daniel Jones. It's disgusting. It's super disgusting. You're not going to feel good about this.
Nope.
You're going to need a sick bag.
Yep.
And I would not watch it. And I would immediately you're going to need the eye bleach for this. But he draws Cincinnati. Cincinnati's defense can't stop anybody. They're not going to be able to stop anybody all year. They're going to
put up points.
Whoever plays against them is going to be able to move the ball. And that's just where we are at this point. It's gross. I don't feel good about it. And but that's what it is. That's where we are. That's the reality of it, is that it's going to be Daniel Jones. And I don't even care if Neighbors plays. It's not relevant. It's disgusting. I feel dirty. But there it is. It's Daniel Jones. Because I think he had a really nice number last week, even without Neighbors, in a game against a soft defense. And I think he can do it again, because it's an even softer defense than the Seahawks. So that's what it is. Like, Cincinnati's one of the worst defenses in football this year. So it's anybody. We're rapidly getting to anybody. It's one of those things where it's like, in previous years, it's anybody against Carolina. This year, it's anybody against Cincinnati. Is kind of what it's turning into. Pretty early returns on that. So, like I said, it's gross. I feel disgusting. Not happy about it. But I would seriously sit there and be like, no, I could make the argument for playing Daniel Jones this week. And you just don't watch it. And you just feel dirty you go take a shower. Like, that's what it is, though. If you're too much of a chicken for that, and Kirk Cousins is still available, Kirk Cousins would be a less terrifying choice. Kirk Cousins draws Carolina and is coming off the best week of his season. So still available in about 40% of leagues. But Daniel Jones,
players I mentioned on the waiver wire show on Monday.
Daniel Jones is available in like 80% of leagues.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's disgusting. I need a shower. So Jason, who's your sit of the week?
Kind of been touching on it slightly. Josh Allen versus the Jets.
Yeah, I get this one. I understand.
Allen has 2 big games in fantasy this year against the Cardinals and the Jaguars. We've touched on those defenses. Jets have yet to give up over 13 fantasy points to their quarterback. Granted, the best QBs they face have been Purdy and Darnold. Purdy put up 10.5 and Darnold put up 15.3.
Yeah.
And next best was actually Will Levis. So put up a surprising 12.5.
Gross.
And Allen right now does not have a slot wide receiver to throw to.
So true. So true. And well, it was more also, you mentioned it, everybody on that team is hurt now. So it might literally just be Josh Allen out there by himself. And it's like, okay, well, that's going to go really poorly. And then you've also mentioned it. The Jets defense is really good. That's for real. The Jets defense is a real thing. So it's like they're playing the Jets. It's a road game, and his whole team is hurt. So I have Allen at 8 this week. You would normally not have Allen outside the top 5, but I'm expecting a struggle bus week for Allen.
It's a road game because you're
Yeah,
going to New Jersey.
I know, I'm aware. But
Okay.
the point is that it's not.
Yeah,
There's going to be the Jets fans will be there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Such as they exist. So no, I'm with you on the. You probably don't have better options, but Josh Allen, I would decrease my expectations. For sure on that. And then the other one for me, it's and this one is I don't feel great about this one either. I'm going to be completely honest because this has potential to make me look stupid. But it's CJ Stroud. No Nico Collins. So that's recoverable. Playing against New England, but the New England's problem isn't their defense.
Yeah, no.
Their problem is not the defense. Their problem is their offense. So my issue is that the Texans just don't look right. It's very hot and cold. When you actually watch them, they have some series where they look like the Texans of last year, where it's like, oh, they're just moving down the field on people. And then you have other series where they just don't look like they're on the same page. So you've got no Nico Collins. Okay, that's recoverable. It gives Tank Dell an opportunity to come back to relevance. It also gives Dalton Schultz an opportunity to come back to relevance a little bit, removing Collins for a few weeks out of that equation. But it's just not consistent. And I'm a little nervous that this game could get just really ugly. And also that they might end up mollywopping New England because it's Drake May's first start this week, which we haven't really talked about. But this is going to be Drake May's first career start. So this game has a lot of weird outcomes to it. And I just don't necessarily trust Stroud to come out and deliver a consistent performance.
Yeah.
I would be looking for alternatives. Jason, you mentioned Caleb Williams, for example. I'd be much more willing to roll that out there, even though it's the early game, which I don't love.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, rather do that. Like CJ Stroud, I know, it's a little scary. It's a little scary. Wee bit scary for this week. So I'm
and I also
inclined to
had the
shut it down.
Texans defense as one of my waiver wire pickups for this week because
I actually went and picked up the Texans defense in a league.
they've looked good.
Well,
and they get
but it's the same thing. It's very inconsistent.
Yeah.
They look good in spots, and then they look like they've never played football 5 minutes later. So I don't understand what's going on. Jason, who's your running back start of the week? I like how you worded this, by the way.
Because it's true.
Yeah, it is very accurate.
So my running back start of the week is whatever Giants running back is healthy versus the Bengals. Every running back that has faced the Bengals has 10 plus fantasy points. Stevenson put up 22, Pacheco put up 15, Robinson and Eckler put up 10 and 13, Chuba put up 22, and Henry put up 16. So whether it is Singletary or Tyrone Tracy, yes, please.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. We've already covered this pretty thoroughly. Anybody against the Bengals, because the Bengals defense just isn't. How did Steve put it a couple weeks ago? I'm old enough to remember when the Bengals were good for a season. That's kind of where we are with the Bengals at this point. Their defense is horrible, and this is why it goes back to I know they want to sign T. Higgins to a long-term deal, but it's really like going to come at the expense of their defense if they do that, and I think we're learning that their defense can't get worse because that'll prohibit them from winning games. So that's kind of the issue that we're having here with that. So that's your problem. But for right now, for the purposes of this season, it's anybody against the Bengals. So whatever it is, I'm here for it. There are a couple interesting starts here, by the way. So one of the starts, like I have a couple, so I'm gonna give you a smorgasbord for this week. One is Tajay Spears. So I mentioned that I was very high on Pollard against the Colts. I'm also pretty high on Spears against the Colts. I'm pretty much high on things going
Against
against
the
the
Colts.
Colts. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are. Uh, another one, Roshan Johnson against Jacksonville. Love it. Think
Scoring
there's every
touchdowns.
think there's every chance that he falls into the end zone from the 2-yard line. All I need you to do, all I need, bonus points if you could do it twice. And then 3 is Tyler Algier, and he is 3 for a reason. Really good matchup against Carolina. Very frustrating usage pattern for the Falcons backs. I would very much prefer either Spears or Roshan, but if you're down this far in the 30s in what I'm calling flex running back territory, RB3, what we used to call it, I would go in that order. Love me some Tajay this week. Love me some Roshan this week. And if those aren't available, Algier is still pretty available, and they just keep putting them in a timeshare. I think the uh, um, what you call it is stupid. The usage pattern for Algier is stupid. But if they're going to keep doing that, then I like Algier this week because of the matchup against Carolina. Their run defense is terrible. So I've got a couple. Pick whichever ones are available to you in your league. Some of that'll be available. What about your sit, Jason?
Again, kind of touch on it. Rico Dowdle versus the Lions. Talk about inefficient running back. Lions have actually been really good against the run as well. Coming off a bye, I'm expecting them to be very prepared. Literally every running back has struggled against the Lions. Kyra Williams was held to 54 all-purpose yards. Rashad White was held to 55 or 23. Irving was held to 22. Connor was held to 25. Kenneth Walker was the only one to go over 100 all-purpose yards, and that was freaky because he also caught a lot of balls and scored 2 touchdowns.
Right. I believe the stat for that game was that he scored a touchdown. He had 12 carries and he scored 3 touchdowns. So he was scoring a touchdown on 25% of his carries, which it screams sustainable to me.
Yeah. It was freaky. So I would expect them to be very much more prepared for Dowdle, who is just now starting to be the starter for the Cowboys.
Also
Don't
looks
love
like poopy butt a lot of the time. Like it's not efficient. It's just not efficient. For me, it's going to be James Cook because he'll get the usage. Oh, he'll get the usage with everybody all beat up. So don't you worry. They're going to feed you, baby bird. But I don't think it's going to mean much when he's running up into that Jets front, especially with all the wide receivers hurt. If I was the Jets, I would, and I saw their injury report for the Bills, I'd be stacking the box on every play. And I'm just going to be like, if you want to beat me, you're going to beat me by throwing the ball with Josh Allen, keeping him contained. I'm going to have 8 men in the box on every play, and I'm going to be stuffing Cook all night long is what I'm going to be doing. You're just going to get pounded. You're not coming up the middle on me. I'm going to make you beat me with your backup wide receivers and make Josh Allen stand in the pocket and throw it. That's how I would literally scheme out against them. So for Cook, you might not have better options, but I would be lowering my expectations significantly for what you would normally be expecting. And if I had other options, I would seriously be considering them because I'm terrified of Cook this week. I'm not a fan. Not a fan of what that could turn into. All right, let's do a couple questions real quick. Would you drop Ford in half PPR? Downs, Wandale, Sutton, Myers, Eckler, Tyrone Tracy, Roshan Johnson are all available. I don't think I would drop Ford. What are my other choices?
Yeah, no, I'd much rather try and again. I'd be trying to shop Ford around. I know it's going to be more difficult now, but still starting running back.
Yeah, he's still a starting running back. I'm not trying to cut him. I would try to trade him to whoever has Chubb, honestly, if you don't have the Chubb.
Correct.
That'd be my first stop is knocking on their door and saying, "Hey, you want Ford?" And see what I could get. That being said, what are my other choices, Daniel? There's got to be something that isn't Ford that we could cut. because I would pick up Downs or
Downs,
Wandale.
Robin. Yeah. it's
Downs
like
or Wandale are really the two things that I'm interested on this list. Jacoby Myers would be third. Sutton would be like fifth or sixth.
Eckler would be
Eckler
the
is
next one.
somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
Tyrone
If it was
Tracy
full,
is.
I'd be more interested in Eckler.
Yeah, I'd be more interested in a lot of this if it was full, to be honest with you. But like Roshan is like a spot start, like bye week fill in kind of thing that would have more value if something happened to Swift. Boy, Swift has resurrected himself up off the ashes very rapidly. It's pretty entertaining to watch. But yeah, like Tyrone Tracy only has value for as long as Singletary's not playing. Eckler is in a timeshare. Would have a lot of value if but clearly he'd be sharing with McNichols is what we've learned. I know that's Jason's favorite topic. Is that McNichols is going to clearly play. So
Annoying.
it is annoying. It is genuinely annoying. I thought they fired Ron Rivera, and yet here we are. It's the same damn thing. It's so frustrating. It's like the more things change, the more they stay the same. You know what I mean? But I'd be more I would be interested in Downs, and I would be interested in Wandale. I'm interested in Wandale in basically all formats. Downs is a similar thing, and then Myers. Those are the three things on there that I'm pretty interested in because it does seem like Devontae Adams. The longer this goes, it has started to seem more and more like Adams is kind of might have taken his last snap for the Raiders, especially given today's reporting. Because I didn't see the Pittman news because I've been busy. I was literally working all day, but I did happen to see the Adams back and forth reporting about I'm done. Get me out of here. I don't want my career to end like this. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. That sounds productive. And then shockingly, my hamstring. Oh no. Oh no. It's not serious, but I can't play for a few weeks. Like, so it's like, okay, great. So he's holding in as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So if that is as that exists, that does boost the value of Myers. It makes Myers attractive. But what are my other options, Daniel? Because I got to believe you got something on that team that's less valuable than Ford that I could cut. I have to imagine. Well, Chubb is coming. That's why I'm saying I would get off the Ford train while I could. But
trade into the person
there's
who is
nothing on
managing
that
Chubb.
list that you gave me that I would cut Ford for, though. I would try to do a 2-for-1 to free up a roster spot. I would take Ford and something else and staple it together and try to offer it to the Chubb guy, and then possibly some other people in your league. Or if somebody in your league is like 1-4, and they're just screwed, I would take Ford and something else and go try and get like their best player to free up a roster spot. Because the way this reads, Daniel, it reads like a 10-team league. That's the waiver wire in a 10-team league. That's not a 12-team league. In a 12-team league, all of that is rostered. So that tells me you're in a 10-team league with that one. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let us know how that goes. That's a mess. I always forget about what it's like playing with casuals, Jason. I only play in like 1 or 2 casual leagues. You know what I mean? I always forget the weird roster stuff that happens, especially in like a 10-team league where people just screw up and cut players randomly for no reason, or they rage quit Anthony Richardson and it's just like, okay, I forget about some of this because I only play in like 2 casual leagues.
Yeah.
So it's like I play in a lot of expert leagues, but I play in 2 casual leagues, and in those casual leagues, I watch what happens, and I'm like, y'all are crazy. All right, wide receiver start of the week. Go for it. Hit me with it.
It's Jalen Polk versus the Texans. It seems to be.
We're going with Polk.
I am. He's seen more snaps. It's been increasing. And Texans have actually been playing in a way that allows for the big play.
Coming off the 2-point performance last week.
I understand that. Alec Pierce in week 1 had a massive game against him. Rome Odunze had to play over 25 yards. Justin Jefferson again, big play. BTJ, big play. Keon Coleman, literally the only big play last week. 1 target, 40 yards and a touchdown. So if all it takes is one, Polk is going to be the one I go to, and especially with it being a rookie on rookie, worth a shot.
Okay. I agree with the logic. I just would prefer Demario Douglas.
Oh yeah, PPR is probably safer. I love how much Polk is out there right now.
Yeah,
And
but Douglas is
Demario
also out
still
there a ton. He's
not
getting
in comparison.
targeted. He's getting targeted at a
He is
very
getting
high clip.
his
Like,
target per route is extremely high.
yeah, it's 26.5%,
Yes,
which is insane.
but Polk is actually out on the field for a majority of snaps as
That's
compared to
fine, but
Demario.
Demario's had 9 targets in 2 of the last 3 games. Not total. I'm talking about in his last 3 games, Demario Douglas had 21 targets, and in 2 games, he's had 18 targets, which is why I keep telling people Demario Douglas is a major pickup for me if he's still available. He's one of those guys that I'm looking to pick up off the waiver wire and stash because he's been doing big things. Big things are happening over there. So if I was going to recommend a Patriot, that would be who I'm recommending over there. But I'm not actually going to recommend a Patriot. The one that I have 2 here. One is going to be Michael Wilson for Arizona. Boy, Greg Dortch is just straight droppable at this point. That's over. I know that Wilson had a bad week in week 4 against Washington, but 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's had a 13 and a 14 in PPR. And he's had in his last 3 weeks, his targets are 6, 7, and 9. So they are working to get Michael Wilson the ball, is what's going on. And what I'm seeing is teams are selling out to try and take away Marvin Harrison Jr. because they're not going to get beat by that. And that's leaving Wilson single covered on the outside. And I got to tell you, Michael Wilson's good enough to win those matchups a lot of the time. So that's where I'm at. Where Michael Wilson to me is a sneaky stash, similar to Demario Douglas. It's a sneaky stash. Oh, Jason didn't want to talk to you guys anymore. He didn't want to talk to you anymore, apparently. So Michael Wilson is a sneaky stash for me. That's where we are. So it's pretty good. So I recommend Michael Wilson, and he's still also widely available. I know people are a little scared. And then the other one that I would recommend is Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert going up against Detroit. I'm not expecting 21 fantasy points again, but similar thing. He had a bad week in week 4 against the Giants, but he had 2 really strong weeks before that, and then a 20-point performance. With Brandon Cooks being sidelined kind of indefinitely, Jalen Tolbert is kind of moving up the power rankings here. So I'm highly recommending picking up Jalen Tolbert. Cooks is droppable at this point. So there you go. Yep, I'd go Daniel. Wheels up on that, man. Blow the fab budget. Get Godwin. I know it's standard league, but even in a standard league, I want that happening. Oh, okay, yeah, 10 team. Yeah, you can't drop Allen. Oh, welcome back. Look who's back.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh. Yeah, mine were Michael Wilson and Jalen Tolbert, and it just
heard.
because those are both
I like
players.
Tolbert, but yeah, it's
they're both players that are on the rise. They're seeing more targets and more usage. Same thing with Demario Douglas. And then the other thing is this is Daniel's other options here, and it's 10 team. He wrote 19 accidentally. So would you rather drop?
I mean, at this point, Allen or Shaheed. I'm nervous, man.
He's got Hall.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he doesn't want to drop Allen, and I agree. I wouldn't drop Allen because you'll never get him back.
I still think Shaheed's.
I would drop in this situation. I would probably actually drop Anthony Richardson. That's probably what I would do because it's a 10-team league, so I can get quarterback back. In 10-team leagues, I usually only carry one quarterback for reasons like this. because I can't imagine that you only have one quarterback, Daniel. In at this point, you have to have found another answer. And in a 10-team league, I'll probably just cut Anthony Richardson because I can likely just roster Anthony Richardson, especially because Anthony Richardson's probably not playing this week. It's probably Flacco again. So there you go. That's what I would do. And then we did that, and
Wide receiver sit.
we oh yes. We have to do sit. So go ahead.
Again, touched on it. Dontayvion Wicks versus the Cardinals. Not sure why people still have ranked in the 20s, but too high for me. Especially with Dobbs and Watson coming back. Granted, I know they both are just coming back and practicing, but Cardinals play single high safety, which allows for the big plays. That is really more of Reed's area of expertise, part of the reason we like him so much. And so with that in mind and the fact that those guys are coming back, it's been brutal. The only player to really have success on the short routes against the Cardinals has actually been Terry McLaurin, who went 7 for 10 for 52 yards and a touchdown. Again, Wicks could do that, but with the other guys potentially coming back, it makes me too nervous. And I just can't bring myself to do it.
All right. And then for me, I have two, but because one of them is probably not going to be helpful, that's why there's two. So my one is Mike Evans, and I know that's sacrilege, but hear me out. Mike Evans really struggles historically in this matchup. He really struggles against the Saints. It's like the one time that I really lower. I have him at 19 this week, and that's crazy low for Mike Evans. But that's because it's just he really historically has struggled in this matchup, and I don't love it this week. This is usually where Godwin just wrecks. Like they sell out to take Evans away, and then Godwin just wrecks them. And that's usually how this game goes. And we see this game twice a year, by the way. So I've got a pretty good sample size on this. So it would be Evans, but because of it's Mike Evans, and then you might not have better options, and there's buys, I've got a backup. So but keep that in mind. And then the other one is anyone playing for Jacksonville. All Jacksonville. London game, early game. Both teams played last week, so they didn't get to acclimate to London time, coming off a bye or something. And Chicago's defense is really good. Jacksonville's offense is really bad. I'm terrified of all Jacksonville-related things this week. Recipe for disaster. All Jacksonville, including Brian Thomas. All of it. Soup to nuts. Don't want any of it. All right. Yeah, see, this is where I just cut Anthony Richardson at this point because you could just acquire him later. And even if I can't, let's say that they were both healthy. At this point, given what we've seen, what universe would you be starting Anthony Richardson over Jaden Daniels? When would that ever occur? Never. So really, what's the point of Anthony Richardson? You can't trade Anthony Richardson at this point in a 10-team league because he has no value. So I would just cut him at this point. Normally, I don't recommend cutting Anthony Richardson because I think it's too early. It's premature. But at this point in a 10-team league, given where you are, you can just cut him. You don't need that anymore. You only need one quarterback. And guess what? When we get to buys, you can just pick somebody up and start them for a week and then cut them because it's a 10-team league. So I guarantee you. Right. Buy, injury. So you don't need Anthony Richardson at this point. He can be gone. Bye-bye. And then if you got if you would have told me like you're playing Fields, I'd be like, okay, that's a different conversation. But if you got Jaden Daniels, then you don't need to worry about it. All right, pick one, Jason. Pick one because I want to do the wheel tight ends and go eat dinner. Not even gonna sugarcoat it. Like,
let's see. Raiders, Steelers. I don't like that. I mean, I guess it has to be Spears just to play it safe.
I'm playing Spears. It's Spears or Myers. Pick your poison. I prefer the Spears poison. Was there an answer in there?
I said Spears.
Okay, you just did that. You phrased that almost like with a question mark on the end of it.
That's because, yeah, it's PPR, so I know I'm naturally drawn to Myers, but it's just
Spears or Myers. The only reason I say Spears is because I do not like Jacoby Myers going up against Pittsburgh. That's my one concern about it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I agree. It would be Myers all day long because he's going to be the one target, but I don't like him having to run up against the Steelers defense. But that being said, all right, and then last question. Jonathan Taylor, McBride, Nico Collins, Monty. Oh, the Monty
This is
Marvin
true.
Harris Pitts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want the right side of this, Max. I want Monty Marvin Pitts. Jonathan Taylor is going to be nicked up all year. Nico Collins is going to miss the next 4 games at a minimum. Probably more like 6, but a minimum of 4. And then Trey McBride has been brutal. So I want the right-hand side. Montgomery's been excellent. I think Marvin Harrison's got a lot of potential, and we've seen what he can do when they can get it on the same page. And I think the rumors of Kyle Pitts' death have been greatly exaggerated. So that's where I'm at with that one. What are you looking at over there? Is there a squirrel?
I don't know. I'm hearing a whistle. So
Okay, I'm also hearing that whistle.
okay.
I don't.
I wasn't sure if that
is.
was. I think it's here. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming something's dying. But
all right. Well, let's do the wheel of tight ends so you can go investigate what. So that way you can go investigate what smoke detector is dying in your house. You are very welcome, Max. Anytime. All right. Get ready for it. It's time for everybody's favorite segment.
Spin the wheel, place a bet. It's time again for tight end roulette.
Presented by Ballpark Franks. They plump when you cook them. If the concept is in no way affiliated with Mark Sanchez or Ballpark Franks.
No matter what's going on, that never will not put a smile on my face. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's great. And here it is. And here's the wheel. We have the tight end wheel. It's everybody's favorite segment that we do because this is how we do tight ends now because tight end does not matter. And it is just a giant disaster. So we're just going to spin the wheel and we're just going to see what comes up. Hunter Henry. Is he your start? Is he a start of the week for you, Jason? Are you going to start Hunter Henry?
I am.
All right.
Rookie QB, baby. You know who his favorite friend is. Love that tight end. Let's go.
We did it. I will say that's a brutal matchup for
I know, but
for Hunter Henry. We have Hunter. I have Hunter Henry at 20 to the extent that it matters because it doesn't. But yeah, I will say Hunter Henry, not bad. Not a bad first spin. The argument I would make is the same you made. It's rookie tight end. We'll spin it again. Ooh. Love it. I love this one. All right, I'll take this one. Zach Ertz against Baltimore. Baltimore is brutal against opposing tight ends. They can't defend anybody's opposing tight ends. Zach Ertz did not have a good week last week in terms of fantasy points. I will concede that. He had a 3 in PPR. However, he had 8 targets. 8 targets. I'm not suggesting that he's going to get 8 targets again, but he's very highly involved. So I would actually recommend Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz also, for the record, is the tight end 16 on the year, which is really depressing. He was 9 at one point. So, but I could make the argument for Zach Ertz. Baltimore can't stop anything, and then there you go. So, Zach Ertz I have for the record at 15, so just outside of startable range.
And he's a weapon for Daniels. So
Right. Exactly. Spin it
Directed
again.
TV. Yes. Sit it, baby.
Yep. Sit this
Yep.
down. It's the same part of the other matchup. Nope. Don't want that. Not startable. Not startable in any format. I love this too. I have K-Dot at 14, just outside of normal starter range. He's finally getting involved. The last 3 weeks, 9, 11, and 7. And guess what? That makes him the tight end 14 in fantasy. So I've got him rated at 14. This is the state of tight end. That's all it takes.
He
You just
finds
got to
the
be a
end
warm
zone.
body.
Could be this week.
Could be this
End zone
week.
time, baby.
Yep, could be this week. Sure. Spin it again. Ooh, that's a pass for me, dog.
Yeah. Dealing with the injury. Not a
Yeah,
fan.
that's a pass for me, but that's a pass for me. We're out of that. I'm not doing
Another
that.
sit.
That's also a pass for me, dog. That's going to be a pass. There we go. This is what I was spinning for. There you go, Jason. There it is. What do you think about Tyler Conklin?
Could be worse. I like it.
I have Tyler Conklin at 11 this week because Buffalo is puke against the tight end. So
Sounds about right.
yeah, that's really what it is. So, and there's just, as we've demonstrated, a lack of quality options.
Hey, do you remember last week when I was talking about Brandon Ayuk and potentially having a big game? It was like a 50-50 shot.
Sure.
K-Dot's the same way against the Saints.
Yeah.
50-50 shot that he scores a touchdown based on their history.
That is actually probably fair. Isaiah Likely's a start. Sure. You could do worse. All right. The last one I was trying to spin for was Dalton Schultz, and it just goes back to the idea that Dalton Schultz doesn't really have a whole lot of intrinsic value, but he does move up one spot in the Texans' pecking order with Nico Collins getting deactivated. So Dalton Schultz goes from being unstartable to being back on the fringes of startable.
Love it.
Get excited. And that concludes this week's edition of Tight End Roulette.
Spin the wheel, place a bet. It's time again for Tight End Roulette.
Presented by Ballpark Franks. They plump when you cook them. If you concept in no way affiliated with Mark Sanchez or Ballpark Franks.
They plump when you cook them.
Steve, I literally said that. I was like, we never even updated this, and it makes no difference. I literally brought that up where it's like, yeah, we never updated that. And it makes absolutely no difference. It's the exact same. It's the same thing. So I actually think it might be funnier if we just don't update it. Like it might actually be funnier because it just doesn't matter. And then sit of the week, Jason, go ahead and then let's get out of here. Let's go eat dinner. Let's go let you figure out what's beeping in your house.
Oh, Kyle Pitts. My set of weeks. It's not close. I don't like how they're using him. The opportunities really aren't there, so I'm terrified of it. And yeah, makes it pretty easy for me. Love how
you said Kyle Pitts?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, it's Dallas Goedert. With all the receivers coming back in a terrible matchup, there it is. It's not science. It's not hard. Well, maybe it is, but it's not hard. How about that? Question for Steve. Who sings the song? It's not Jason. I don't know who sings the song.
Who sings the song for what? Oh, Tight End Roulette?
Spin the wheel, place a bet. It's time again for Tight End Roulette.
Presented by Ballpark Franks. They plump when you cook
Yeah, Daniel,
I like AI.
there's any number of AIs and robots that will no, when I sing, people don't, how do I put it? Enjoy it. So I don't do that. No, there's any number of like, that's not surprising. There's any number of like AI bots that you can use that will produce little clips like that for you. The uh yeah. There's
Same
that,
thing.
and then there's also
With
for other things.
auto-tuning.
Well, for other things we've done in the past, you can literally like get free music off the internet, like for things like this. It's really not that hard to do. But no, it was me in the shower. Um, uh, it's picture me like Tobias Funke, like never nude, with the jean shorts. There are dozens of us, literally
like that.
dozens. And on that super happy and not emotionally scarring visual image, which I did literally just to upset Jason, I'm gonna let everyone go look for what is beeping, and we're gonna go play a new game, which is called "What's Beeping in Jason's House." Um, yes, exactly. See, Angela gets it. Uh, uh, so that's so there. So there you go. So now we're gonna go play a new game, which is called "What's Beeping in Jason's House." That's what we're gonna go.
Don't love it.
I don't get this. Aren't both of those players retired? Philip Lindsay does radio in Denver, Daniel. So I'm quite confident he's retired. I don't know. Was Chad Beebe retired? Is that the joke?
Guessing. I mean, I'd assume he retired. Yeah.
Assuming that these are retired
Or
players.
only played for 3 years. Is that
Yeah.
also
I'm
a
assuming all of
Lindsay?
these players are retired. Got to get up pretty early in the morning, Daniel.
I mean,
That's right.
PPR, I'd probably go with the Chad Beebe because of the fact that he was a wide receiver.
I think
and
they're both retired. I'm going to go with that. And now we're going to go play a new game called What's Beeping in Jason's House. So Jason, we expect a report next week. Figure out what's beeping and report back. Hopefully it's not some sort of fire alarm, but that's probably what it is. And let us know what it is, what's beeping in the background, because inquiring minds want to know. And yeah, tune in tomorrow. Jason will be here to answer your questions before the Thursday night game, as always. That gross Thursday night game. That gross. Yeah, don't think anybody's going to be.
asking
Yeah.
a whole lot of questions again.
Well, it's like there might be because it's Seahawks Niners, but like that game grosses me out because of the fact that they put it on Thursday. So there you go. And then yeah. Beyond that, tune in Friday to get locked in with Mason and Vishal. Mason's still on that heater. Make some money, get some cash, get paid. And then we'll be back on Sunday for the final countdown, which should be should be interesting. And I agree. If you want to know what's beeping in Jason's house, join the Discord with the link in the video description. Sign up. We'll report back on what's beeping in Jason's house, and tune in also for more super fun visuals about me being a never nude, because that's basically what we're gonna do now. That's what we're gonna do. And with that, until we see you next week, keep up the nonsense.